Good morning, America! There's a certain feeling that starts to creep into the New York City air. The late summer humidity finally breaks, and a crispness signals that a change is on the way. You can feel it in the early morning breeze as you walk through Central Park. You can see it in the storefronts as they begin to swap out summer displays for cozier, warmer themes. It's the prelude to one of the city's most dramatic and magical transformations. Winter is coming in New York. That's not just a change in temperature, it's a change in the very soul of the city. For so many New Yorkers, winter is a season of profound significance. It's a time that brings people together, huddled in a warm coffee shop, ice skating under the city lights. I'll never forget the pure joy of seeing the first snowflakes begin to fall. Everything gets quiet for just a moment. Let's pull back the curtain and take a look at what the experts are forecasting for the New York City winter of 2025 to 2026. Get your hot cocoa ready, because it looks like we're in for a memorable one. All right, let's get right to the question on everyone's mind. What does this winter have in store for the Big Apple? I've been speaking with our team of meteorologists and top climate experts, and the consensus is forming around a very interesting forecast. The overarching theme for the 2025 to 2026 winter season is a tale of two winters. We're expecting a season of contrasts with periods of biting cold followed by surprising thaws. It won't be a steady, consistent winter, but one that keeps us on our toes. The early indicators are pointing toward a season that will be slightly colder and snowier than the average we've seen over the last decade. When we talk numbers, the forecast models are suggesting a temperature profile that will dip below the historical average, especially in January and February. Expect more days where the high temperature struggles to get above freezing. We could see several Arctic blasts sweeping down from Canada, bringing those bone-chilling winds that whip through the avenues. For snowfall, the predictions are leaning towards an above-average season. While last year was relatively mild, this year is shaping up to be different. Forecasters are calling for a total accumulation that could be 10 to 20% above the city's average of about 28 inches. What does this mean for your daily life? The first significant snowfall could arrive as early as mid to late December, just in time to create a potential white Christmas, which is always a magical thought. So, the key takeaway is to be prepared for variability. The experts I trust are confident that the dominant pattern will be a cold one with significant snow events likely. It's not about looking into a crystal ball. It's a complex science that combines data from all over the globe. One of the biggest factors meteorologists are watching this year is the sea surface temperature in the Pacific Ocean, El Niño, La Niña. These climate patterns can have a huge ripple effect on weather worldwide. This year, we are transitioning into a weak to moderate La Niña phase. Historically, La Niña often means a colder and snowier winter for the northeastern United States. Another key piece is what's happening way up in the atmosphere, the polar vortex. Think of the polar vortex as a massive area of cold air spinning around the North Pole. Sometimes it becomes unstable and wobbles, sending lobes of frigid Arctic air south. Long-range models show a higher probability of a weakened polar vortex later in the winter, particularly late January-February. That's why forecasters flag that period for intense cold and potential blockbuster snow in NYC. Forecasters don't rely on just one or two indicators. They run dozens of different climate models on supercomputers. Each model uses slightly different assumptions based on historical and current data. When many models point to the same outcome, colder, snowier winter for New York, confidence grows. Second opinion, third opinion, 30th opinion. Finally, there's the human element. One of the most iconic sights, without a doubt, is Central Park under a fresh blanket of snow. Woolman Rink with skaters cutting through the ice. The Great Lawn turns into a vast, untouched expanse of white. Sheep Meadow becomes a playground for snowball fights. Sheep Meadow, building snowmen. The bare branches of the trees, delicately coated in snow, create an intricate pattern against the gray sky. Imagine the Brooklyn Bridge, its grand cables and arches outlined in white, with the snowy skyline of Manhattan visible through the flurries. Times Square, usually a chaotic symphony of light and sound, becomes slightly muted. The glow of the giant screens reflects off the snow-covered streets, creating a surreal, futuristic winter wonderland that feels both vibrant and peaceful. The charming brownstones, with their stoops dusted with snow, and iron railings dusted with snow. The steam rising from manhole covers seems thicker and more dramatic against the cold, white backdrop. You'll see New Yorkers, ever resilient, navigating the snowy sidewalks with a determined sense of purpose. their colorful hats and scarves providing a splash of brightness against the monochrome landscape. It's a city that doesn't stop for the snow. It simply adapts and finds a new kind of beauty in it. This is the winter that photographers and artists dream of capturing. It's the contrast of the warm yellow glow of taxi headlights cutting through the falling snow. These are the scenes that define the visual poetry of a New York City winter, turning the entire metropolis into a sprawling, living work of art. Of course, you can't talk about winter in New York without talking about the holidays. The season kicks off in spectacular fashion with the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, but the magic truly ignites with the lighting of the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree. Seeing that magnificent tree, adorned with tens of thousands of sparkling lights, is a rite of passage. The entire plaza buzzes with an incredible energy. People from all over the world gather to see the spectacle, to watch the ice skaters gliding on the rink below, and to feel that unmistakable spirit of holiday cheer in the heart of Manhattan. The city becomes a dazzling festival of lights and decorations. The window displays along Fifth Avenue are a destination in their own right. Saks Fifth Avenue, Bergdorf Goodman, Macy's. It's a tradition to stroll down the avenue, hot chocolate in hand, and marvel at the creativity and artistry. Each window tells a story, and the nightly light show projected onto the facade of Saks is a showstopper that draws huge, happy crowds. Beyond the big, famous attractions, there are so many other wonderful traditions. The holiday markets at Union Square, Bryant Park, Columbus Circle. The Winter Village at Bryant Park is especially charming, with its free admission ice skating rink surrounded by dozens of artisan kiosks. And for a classic New York experience, you can't beat seeing a holiday show. The timeless Rockettes in the Christmas Spectacular at Radio City Music Hall, a performance of the Nutcracker by the New York City Ballet in Dyker Heights, Brooklyn. Residents go all out with some of the most extravagant and over-the-top Christmas light displays you will ever see. Surviving and even thriving in a New York City winter is all about preparation. This is a mantra every New Yorker lives by. Start with a thermal base layer, add a sweater or fleece, top it off with a waterproof, windproof outer jacket. Your choice of footwear can make or break your winter day. When the snow starts to fall and the streets get slushy, a good pair of waterproof, insulated boots is non-negotiable. Look for boots with good traction to help you navigate icy patches. Nothing is worse than cold, wet feet. And don't forget the accessories. A warm hat is crucial. A scarf can be pulled up to protect your face from biting winds. A good pair of gloves is essential. Many people even opt for touchscreen-friendly gloves so they can use their phones without freezing their fingers. Navigating the city also requires a bit of winter strategy. When a snowstorm is in the forecast, give yourself extra time for your commute. Subways are generally the most reliable option during heavy snow, but even they can experience delays. Buses will be slower, and finding a taxi or rideshare can be difficult and expensive. Be sure to check the MTA website or app for service updates before you head out. Finally, take care of your well-being. The cold, dark days of winter can sometimes take a toll on our mood. New York City has a long and dramatic history with winter weather. Some of the storms that have hit the city are the stuff of legend, talked about for generations. One of the most famous is the Great Blizzard of 1888. In March of that year, an unexpected and ferocious storm buried the city under more than 20 feet of snow in some areas. The winds were hurricane force, creating massive snowdrifts that completely paralyzed the city. This storm was a major wake-up call. It led to the decision to bury telegraph lines, telephone lines, and build the city's first underground subway system. More recently, many of us remember the blizzard of 1996. In January 1996, a powerful nor'easter dumped over 20 inches of snow on Central Park, shutting down the city for 2 days. I remember covering that storm. The sheer volume of snow was just incredible. The city came to a standstill. Another storm that lives on in recent memory is the Boxing Day blizzard of 2010. This storm hit right after Christmas, catching many holiday travelers by surprise. What made this storm particularly infamous was the city's response, widely criticized as slow and ineffective. One of the biggest questions is the timing and intensity of the nor'easters. The atmospheric ingredients are there for powerful storms, but their exact track is everything. A storm that tracks just 50 miles to the east or west can mean the difference between a foot of snow, a messy mix of sleet and freezing rain, just a cold rain. We'll be watching for storms that undergo bombogenesis. Rapid intensification can turn a regular storm into a monster. Another potential surprise, the January thaw. If a strong warm-up does occur midwinter, it could be dramatic. Imagine going from single-digit temperatures and snow-covered streets to 50-degree weather in just a few days. There's also the potential for ice events. These happen when the atmosphere is just right for freezing rain. Ice storms can be even more dangerous and disruptive than snow. A coating of ice can bring down tree limbs, power lines, and lead to widespread power outages. For your safety, always be aware of the weather forecast. Before you head out, check for any weather advisories or storm warnings. If a major storm is predicted, it's wise to adjust your plans. Stock up on some essentials like food, water, batteries. When you are out and about, walk carefully and assume any wet-looking pavement could be icy. And please, give city snowplows plenty of room to do their important work. Salt spreaders, they are the heroes who keep the city moving. First and foremost, embrace the season. Don't let the cold keep you cooped up. A New York winter is an experience to be lived. Plan a day for ice skating, Rockefeller Center, Bryant Park, Woolman Rink in Central Park. Take that walk across the Brooklyn Bridge after a fresh snowfall. The memories you make will be well worth bundling up for. Ultimately, the best way to enjoy a New York winter is to dive into its unique culture. Spend an afternoon getting lost in the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Catch a matinee on Broadway. Find a cozy, dimly lit restaurant and enjoy a long, leisurely meal. Discover a new neighborhood and its local coffee shops. A New York winter is a shared experience. Resilience, beauty, and magic. By being prepared and having the right attitude, you can make this winter of 2025 to 2026 your most memorable one yet. Stay warm and stay safe, everyone.